Ever been chatting with someone feeling like you're, hitting it off, and then that awkward little silence happens because their name has just, poof, vanished from your brain?
Oh, definitely.
It happens to the best of us, right?
It really does. More often than we probably admit.
Well, today we're actually tackling this incredibly common experience, forgetting a name. We'll be looking at how native English speakers navigate this surprisingly rich little social interaction.
That's right. We're setting aside the complex theories for a bit today. We've got this fascinating snippet of real-life English. It's a dialogue focused on exactly this scenario.
Yeah.
And it might seem simple, maybe even basic on the surface. But honestly, it's packed with clues about how we communicate, how we maintain social connections.
Exactly. But really, think of it as a shortcut to understanding the subtle art of conversation. Our mission today is to unpack the communication strategies, those unspoken social rules, and crucially, the really useful phrases that pop up when someone's trying to gracefully recover from, well, a memory blank.
And for you, our listener, especially if you're aiming for more natural, more confident English in just everyday situations, this is gold, really. We're going beyond just, dictionary definitions here. We want to understand why certain phrases work so well in these potentially tricky moments.
Okay, let's get into it then. So the scene opens with these two people, Nick and Anna, bumping into each other. It sounds like they've met before, right?
Yeah, Nick mentioned something like, "It was great to meet you last week at the conference." He even remembers they chatted about foreign investment.
Right, specific detail.
What's interesting straight away is how casual it seems, almost accidental. Nick asks, "What are you doing in this neighborhood? Do you live around here?"
And Anna replies, "Actually, my office is right around the corner." Notice those little phrases about location.
The spatial ones.
Around here, it's so common, isn't it? It kind of paints this general picture nearby in this general area.
Yeah, vague but useful.
But then Anna says right around the corner, and that feels much more specific. Like literally, maybe just on the next street.
Exactly. It's a subtle difference, but it gives a clearer sense of where she is. And importantly, it subtly signals this potential for future connection, geographically speaking.
Ah, interesting point. And Nick follows up on that potential connection idea, saying, "We should definitely meet up again and continue our discussion."
It sounds like a pretty standard, polite way to express that he enjoyed talking before and, he'd be open to doing it again. How does that strike you?
It feels very normal, like friendly, but not locking anything down immediately, just leaving the door open, kind of.
Yeah, exactly.
Then comes that little dance to end the current chat. Nick mentions being in a bit of a hurry.
Right.
And offers his card, repeating that we should definitely meet up again.
That phrase, "in a bit of a hurry," it's quite key, isn't it?
Yeah, how so?
Well, it communicates the need to leave, but without being blunt or rude. Our source material pointed out this could mean anything from needing to drive faster, genuinely not having time to chat right then, or having another appointment waiting. Is just a softer way of saying, "I need to go now."
Right. Much smoother. And Anna responds, "Sure, you still have my contact details, right?" And there's that little assumption again, the idea of a continued connection.
Which, of course, leads us right to the moment we're all here to talk about, the relatable bit.
The moment of truth. Nick says, "You know what, this is really embarrassing, but your name has just slipped my mind."
It's quite direct, isn't it?
Yeah.
But adding "really embarrassing," that softens it. It acknowledges the awkwardness up front. Why do you think that acknowledgement matters so much?
Oh, it totally diffuses the tension, I think. It's like he's saying, look, I know this isn't ideal. I feel bad about it. It makes him more human, maybe.
Yeah, vulnerable even.
And slipped my mind. Such a classic. It's just a really common way to say you've forgotten something, usually accidentally.
Absolutely. The examples from our source, like forgetting to reply to an email or someone's birthday, they show how versatile it is for those everyday memory lapses.
Definitely not just for names.
Exactly. It's a very natural, widely understood way for a native speaker to say, "I forgot," without sounding completely clueless or like they didn't care.
Okay, so let's maybe revisit some of these useful language bits, these little nuggets. We mentioned around here, meaning generally close by, like asking, is there a bank around here?
Right. And then the more specific, right around the corner. Our source also gave that example of living around there, which suggests a much less precise location, like, "Oh, I used to live around Los Angeles." That's a huge area.
Yeah, that makes sense. It's about the scale.
Then there's the phrase "terrible with."
Yeah.
Nick uses it later on, but it's so useful generally. It just means being very bad at something.
It's simple enough.
Yeah, the examples were things like being terrible with numbers, terrible with directions, and very relevant here, terrible with faces or names. It's a neat, concise way to explain a weakness.
Oh, I can absolutely relate. I am terrible with numbers. Honestly, give me a spreadsheet and my eyes just sort of glaze over.
I know the feeling.
And faces, too, sometimes. They just,
Hey.
they don't always stick, you know? It's embarrassing.
Well, it's clearly a shared human thing for many of us, which is exactly why Nick using it later helps to smooth things over in the dialogue. It creates common ground.
Right. Now let's backtrack slightly. How did Anna actually start that second part of their chat before the name forgetting?
Good point. She sees him and says, Nick, how's it going?
How's it going? What did the source say about that?
It highlighted it as a really natural, common alternative to the slightly more formal, how are you? For how are you doing?
It just sounds more relaxed, doesn't it? More conversational.
Precisely. It's kind of a go-to casual opener when you bump into someone you know. You're walking down the street, see a familiar face. Hey, how's it going?
Yeah.
Perfect, easy way to kick off a chat.
Totally. Okay, speaking of those slightly awkward, maybe cringeworthy moments, I have to share a quick story. It's truly embarrassing.
Oh, go on.
So I was at this big family reunion years ago. Loads of relatives I hadn't seen in ages. And I completely, utterly blanked on my own cousin's name.
No.
Yes. There were just so many faces, so much going on. And I ended up just calling him, wait for it, Uncle, for the rest of the afternoon.
Oh dear.
I just kept praying no one noticed the absurdity. Thankfully, I think I got away with it, but it was stressful.
That's a brilliant and very relatable example of how these memory blanks happen in all sorts of situations, not just professional ones.
Definitely.
And in those more professional settings, a really useful strategy, which our source mentioned, is simply asking for a business card.
The classic move.
Yeah, it's a perfectly natural thing to do, and it gets you the name without having to directly admit you've forgotten it. Very smooth.
Or another trick I've sometimes used is asking someone to write down their email address for me.
Oh, good one.
Because the full name usually appears right there. These little workarounds can be absolute lifesavers in those moments.
They really can.
Yeah.
So bringing it back to the dialogue, how does Anna actually handle Nick's confession? His slipped my mind moment.
Oh, she's brilliant. So understanding. She just says, sure, my name is Anna Ferris. Don't worry about it. Happens to me all the time. I'm terrible with names too.
What's the effect of that kind of response?
It's just so disarming, isn't it? That shared vulnerability, admitting she does it too, saying, I'm terrible with names. It instantly makes it okay. It probably makes Nick feel a whole lot less embarrassed.
Absolutely. It reinforces that forgetting a name isn't necessarily some grave insult or a sign you don't care. It can just be a quirk of how our brains work sometimes.
Yeah, a human thing.
Exactly.
So, okay, let's try and bring it all together then. What are the key things that you, our listeners, should maybe take away from this deep dive?
Well, first off, I think just knowing, truly knowing, that forgetting names is universal. It happens to pretty much everyone. That alone can take a lot of the pressure off, right?
Definitely. It's okay. Secondly,
having a few polite phrases up your sleeve like, it slipped my mind, can be incredibly helpful. They help you navigate those moments with a bit more grace.
good point. And also really getting comfortable with those everyday English phrases like around here or knowing how to say you're terrible with something. Using those will definitely make your English sound more natural, more fluent.
For sure. And don't underestimate having those backup strategies ready. Asking for a business card, getting an email. They're genuinely useful tools in both work and social life.
They really are practical tips. And finally, maybe just remembering the power of a simple, natural opener. Like, how's it going?
Yeah.
It's just such a smooth, easy way to start a friendly chat. Less stiff than the alternatives sometimes.
Yeah, totally agree. Okay, so maybe a final thought for people to chew on.
Yeah, let's leave them with something.
How about this? Consider the subtle social stuff going on with names. What unspoken message do we send when we do remember someone's name? You know, that feeling of being recognized.
Yeah, feels good.
And then, what are the subtle, maybe unintended social ripples when we forget? Is it purely about memory function, or are there deeper things about connection, about social awareness at play in this seemingly tiny everyday interaction?
That's interesting. It seems simple forgetting a name, but when you unpack it like this.
Yeah, it really opens up a surprising amount about how we connect, or sometimes fail to connect with others, doesn't it? It makes you think.